Hi, my name is JD and this is my channel Frost and Forest. Today I'm going to be doing another awesome VR. Angel from Feeding My Soul 1212 is at it again and has another very fun show us your decks again tag. I'm going to go through and show you some of my decks based on the prompts that she came up with. And just like last time, they are just as random and as fun, and I'm super excited to get started. Tag number 1 is a deck with a quote on the inside of the box. For that one, I picked the Starseeker Oracle. And so I looked through a lot of my decks, but I thought that this was really pretty. And it says, with a great leap you fly through the Seeker's portal. You walk the path following the stars. They guide you to your deepest truth. So I just thought it was really pretty. It is, I'll just show a few cards from this deck. This is not a deck I use very often. But it is very purple. And those backs are beautiful. And I really liked the inside quote. I thought that was really nice. So this is my choice for a deck with a quote on the inside of the box. And this is the Starseeker Oracle. So prompt number 2 is a deck with a damaged box or card. And so I have decided to show the Darkness of Light Tarot. This is the box that it came in. This was a deck that I got, I think I got it on eBay. You know, I kind of was late to the Darkness of Light game as a deck. And I actually keep it in this bag because that box is so rough and I didn't want to damage it anymore. And I'll say this deck is not in perfect condition, but I was kind of late to the game on this deck and I didn't know if there was ever going to be a reprint on it. So this one came in up on eBay and it was in my price range, and so I decided to get it. So yeah, it's not in the most perfect condition, but it is a beautiful deck, and especially in the darker parts of the year, I have really enjoyed using it. But the box was a little rough. The cards came with a little bit of like schmutzy stuff on it that I had to clean off. But that's okay, you know, it's in pretty good condition. I enjoy using it and it's good. You know, someday I would love to get my hands on a non-bordered edition, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. So I'm happy with this one. So yeah, this is my choice for a deck with a damaged box. So the next prompt is a deck with one or several renamed cards. And for this one, I decided to show you the Rhythm and Soul Tarot. This is really great deck. And as you can see, the suits, all 4 of the suits have been changed. I love this frog card, and we're going to talk more about frogs, but I love this frog card. Anyway, so all of the suits have been changed in this one. Also, some of the majors have been changed. So this would normally be Judgment. But this is a really awesome deck. I actually haven't used it a ton yet. It feels kind of like a summer deck to me, so I might start using it more. Yeah, but like see here, it changes the Empress card. But yeah, this just feels like kind of a summer deck to me, so I haven't used it a ton yet. But it is a really sweet deck. And I love the art in it. And I love the connection to music in it. I think that that's great, and the history of music here in the US. I do definitely have to, every time before I use this deck, re-look up what all the suits are. So like roots are pentacles. There's a devil card. And then axes are air, so they're the sword suit. And like this would normally be strength, but it's renamed passion. Look at that awesome death card. Isn't that so great? And then blues are the suit of cups. Upside down, the hanged man. And then jazz is the suit of wands. So you can see that this is a really good example of a deck with several renamed cards. Next prompt is a deck with a reversible back. And so for this one, I chose the Mushroom Hunters Tarot. And so I'm just going to leave the back there. But then I am also going to show you some of the cards. So this is a really great deck. I love this as a mushroom deck. I love the colors. I love the feel. I love the kind of context around mushrooms. And that's part of the reason why I think that these backs are so awesome. These backs are clearly reversible. This is up, right? But then you go like that. You can't tell the difference. It's clearly reversible, but I think it's really cool for a mushroom deck because this is one way that some people can use to identify what kind of mushroom they are. And so for some cases, you actually have to do, I suppose I should tell you what this is. So this is a mushroom spore, where it's basically, it's kind of like the rubbing of the bottom of the mushroom here. That's called a gill. I'm trying to see if I can find a mushroom card that shows the gills better. Of course, now I can't. Hang on. Oh, okay. So like right here, that's kind of what are called the gills. And so basically you can put the gills on top of a piece of paper and then put it in an airtight container. And then you get these like spore prints, like you can see here. And so in some cases you need to get a spore print and then look at it under a microscope in order to be able to identify some mushrooms. And so for me, being a nerd, as you can clearly tell based on the explanation I just gave you, that I think that this is a really neat back for a deck. And it is reversible. So the next prompt is a deck with a star on the box. So I actually chose one that has a lot of stars on the box, but this is the Morbid Mirror Oracle. And look at these beautiful blingy backs. Aren't they awesome? But this is an oracle deck that I think is really cool. And so when the prompt was a deck with a star on the box, I decided to go for this one because I love this deck. And this is just gives me a chance to share it. But I just really love this deck. And it is very blingy. It's very beautiful. It was also a deck that I used a lot when a family member passed away. I was using this deck a ton because it just makes you rethink death a little bit. Just in that, like, it shows the different cultures, different cultural ways of celebrating it, or of remembering people, or thinking about good times. And so it helped remind me that, there were still positive memories and there were still ways that I could honor the people that I care about. And so, I try to show this deck every chance I get because it was a really great deck and I appreciated having it during that time. So this is a deck that has a star on the box. prompt is a deck with no or few people in the minors. And so for me, I decided to do the Trash Panda Tarot. Also, can I just say, I absolutely love this King of Pentacles. It's so great with the cow. Anyway, this is a deck that is pretty new to me, but it definitely fits the prompt because it only has raccoons in it. So there are no people in any of the cards, not just the minors. I love that Lovers card, isn't it so sweet? But not just the minors, but in all of the cards, because they are all centered around a world of raccoons. And so, yeah, this is a new deck to me. I haven't used it a ton, but I'm excited to use it. And it's just, this is one of my aesthetics of, I like happy, silly decks that are cute sometimes. Look at that otter. Isn't that such a sweet card for the Eight of Cups? The raccoon leaving the soda cans behind and talking to the sea otter. Isn't that great? Oh, but this is so sad. Yeah. So, as you can see, there are no people, just raccoons, and then some other animals that are along for the ride. And so, yeah. This is a sweet deck, and it is my choice for a deck with few people in the minors. The next prompt is a deck that doesn't have a person in the Fool card. And for this one, I chose the Spirits of the Woodland Tarot. And so I went through and I decided to pull out the Fool card. And one thing that'll kind of be a theme in this video is that I really like frogs in decks. For whatever reason, I really like it when they show up. And so I think that this Fool card is super adorable. And so that's why I wanted to share it. I also say that, you know, one of, I think, the criticisms out there, there's another cute frog. One of the criticisms out there is that this deck doesn't exactly follow RWS meanings in the art. So for example, this, you know, the traditional RWS meaning for the Fool, this maybe doesn't call you to that with this image, but I still like it. I'm comfortable enough with reading cards, and there are some extra cards. I'm comfortable enough reading with cards that I can pull my own meanings from it if I need to. And I just love the art in this deck so much. I love the colors, the greens, the teals. I love the animals and the coziness and the mushrooms. And so even though this deck is doesn't necessarily follow the traditional RWS meanings in all of the cards, I still really love it a lot. And so I wanted to show this Fool card because it's so super, super cute. And I was super excited because I was able to get a little pin that is the Fool card. Isn't that adorable? So this is my choice for a deck that doesn't have a person in the Fool cards. Prompt is a deck with your favorite box design. And so I maybe took this in a little bit of a weird direction. They were maybe looking for, like, do you like clamshell box? Do you like tux boxes? Do you like two-piece boxes? But I decided that one of the things that I think is really cool is when decks look like books, when the boxes of decks look like books. And so I have a few examples of this, but I think this one with the Threadbound Oracle is particularly well done. And so that's the one that I wanted to show, is this feels like a book. And the box is well made. It has a magnet there. And so I think it's really good. I'll just show a few of the cards. This is the backs. Aren't these cool backs? I really like these backs. Anyway, this is an oracle deck. It is very kind of story focused. And it is kind of a deck that has like, it has like major and minors sort of. And so one of the suits, for example, is ink, the suit of ink. So you can see there's a few different ink cards here. But then it does have what are kind of like majors, which are something like the mirror. And then it also has sort of these different characters that you might find in a story. So the protagonist, the healer. So, but then like another suit is paper. And so this deck is very much book themed. It has different characters, it has different suits, it has different minors, but they all kind of go around this book theme. They have like different locations where things might happen. So the train. So this isn't a deck I use a ton, but I think that the book theme of the box matches the deck super well, and I really like the way it was done. So my choice for my favorite box design is the thread bound oracle. So the next prompt is basically a deck that you were expecting to be one way, and then it sort of had a 180-degree turn, whether that's good or bad. So maybe it was a deck that you weren't expecting to love, but you end up loving, or a deck that you thought you would really love, but ended up not loving. And so for me, I chose the Cat Tarot, and this is a perfect card for the perfect example. So I thought that I would really love this deck. And part of that is because I love old movies. And so a lot of what attracted me to this deck is that it makes a lot of reference to old movies that I grew up on, that I love. So an example here, it's a cat acting as Gene Kelly from Singing in the Rain. This is the iconic scene from the movie where he is singing in the rain. And so because that's kind of the whole point of this deck, so like this is Scarlett O'Hara from Gone with the Wind. That movie is incredibly problematic, but it was a big cinematic deal at the time that it came out. And so, you know, this is a reference that I would understand. And so I really thought, this Fred Astaire, I really thought that I would really love this deck because I am such a nerd about some of these movies. And it's not just movies. So like this is Van Gogh. So it is in some cases, you know, cultural figures, or like this is, what is that called? Something Leagues Under the Sea. I'm blanking on it. Captain Nero, Frodo, Lord of the Rings. Oh, and then the Marx Brothers. So like, I thought I would love this deck, but I just, the catness of it just, I think, pulls me out of it a little bit. And so I haven't really used this deck. James Bond, I haven't really used this deck a lot. Stan and Ollie, that's great. So I thought I would love this deck, but I just haven't used it, and I don't love it quite as much as I thought I would. And so for me, this has kind of been a 180 there. 180 sort of, meaning that I was not as excited about it as I thought I would be, which is too bad. Now, that said, it is not a deck that I'm planning on getting rid of at any point, or, you know, and maybe someday I'll just need this level of cat cheekiness in a deck and it'll be perfect. But for now, it's a little bit lukewarm for me. So the next prompt is a deck with an even major in the box artwork. And so for this one, I chose the Earthwise Medicine. So take a look at that box just for a second. And so the box art shows the moon card, which is number 18. So it fits the prompt. And it gave me the opportunity to share this deck. So this deck is pretty new to me, but I've actually been kind of surprised at how much I've really liked it. This is not my usual aesthetic, in that, you know, it's really bright. It has animals from all over the world. I've talked about that in other videos, that doesn't always work for me. But for whatever reason, this deck I just think is beautiful and I've really enjoyed having. And so right now I'm actually using this this deck for my week ahead spread. But isn't it so beautiful? I just love the colors. And there's the King of Wands is the Blue Jay. That's great. So this is a really great deck. And I wanted to share it because it's new and it's a deck that I'm excited about. So this is my choice for a deck with an even major on the box. Next prompt is a deck on your tarot shelf / storage area with the box title facing the opposite direction from others. So I'm going to show you a little bit of my shelf. The things that I noticed is that the Celtic Healing Oracle is actually put in the opposite direction. So this is the Celtic Healing Oracle. This is this deck with the backs. I know this deck is not for everybody. The green backs are a little bit stark for some folks, especially compared to the black and white fronts, but I really like Celtic decks and I like the guidebook on this deck. And so this is an example of a deck that was facing the opposite direction from some of my other decks. Okay, so we just have 4 more prompts. And so the next one is Lonely Deck, a deck you don't store with your other decks. And so for this one, I have this little pocket deck here. So this is my little pocket Everyday Witch Tarot that I keep in this kind of leather pouch bag. And so the reason that this doesn't get stored with any of my other decks is because this is my backpack or purse deck. And so this is the deck that I have with me all the time. I like this deck in the mini version. I think the artwork works pretty well as a mini, and it's a pretty easy deck for me to read. So if I'm out in the world, it's not one that I have to think about a ton, because it follows RWS pretty straightforwardly. I love that Judgment card. It's one of my favorite Judgments. And I love that Strength card. This is also one of my favorite Strength cards. But anyway, it follows the RWS pretty easily, and so it's one that's pretty intuitive for me to use. The other thing that's really cool about it is you can actually buy the guidebook in the Kindle app. And so even though I just have the mini one now, I do have access to the guidebook on my phone. And so that's another great reason why it is a deck that is good for being out in the world. But because it is in a backpack or purse, depending on the bag that I'm carrying that day, it doesn't really end up spending time with my other decks. Next prompt is a deck that you associate with the current season. And so where I am is, in the US, and it is definitely moving from kind of late spring into summer. And so this is the time of year where my Herb Crafter's Tarot comes out. This is a deck that I use a ton in the summertime. I use it with a lot of the plant decks that I have. And, it just has that summer feel. And I also like to use this one in the summer if I'm cooking a meal and I want to do a card pull. sometimes I will pull this deck out as well to kind of do a reading around cooking and sort of the intention that I'm putting into the meal that I'm having. And so this is a really fun deck. I love the art in it. I love how summery it feels. I love the sort of ancestral feeling and the, you know, generational knowledge being passed on feel with the different, with the court cards being renamed. It's just a really great deck. And so this was the deck that immediately came to mind when I heard what is a deck that you associate with the current season. Because for me, right now, this is the Herb Crafters season. Next prompt is a deck with your favorite animal, that your favorite animal makes an appearance. And so I actually pointed this out a couple of times with some of the earlier decks, that I really like it when frogs are in decks. I just, for whatever reason, I think they're cute and I like them. And, you know, frogs are the kind of thing I would see in my normal life. And I don't know, I just really like them. And so the deck that I thought of immediately for this prompt is the Oracle of the Living Spell. And I'm hoping you can see it. I'm kind of making this video as the sun is starting to go down, so I'm hoping that you can still see this. But basically this deck focuses, as you know, the little sidekick or the familiar in this deck is a frog. So you can see she's holding a frog there. And so that I think is just, there's a frog there. That I think is just one of the many reasons why I really love this deck, is because frogs make such an appearance in it. So I'm not going to show this deck a lot because I just did a video of this deck. So if you want to see more cards, definitely check out my last video. But this is a great deck and I love it. And I love that her little sidekick is a frog in this deck. So the very last prompt for this VR is a deck with a rainbow, either on the box or in the cards. And I think that's, you know, it's Pride Month, so I think that's an especially appropriate prompt. Well, of course, if you're thinking about a prompt with rainbows, I had to choose the Numinous Tarot. The Fool right there, starting off strong, has a rainbow card on it. And there are some other cards that have rainbows in it as well. But in general, this is just also a very bright, rainbowy feeling deck. And so this had to be my choice. There's, you know, kind of a rainbow feel in the sky there. And so this is a really great deck. I love using it during Pride Month, and it's one of my favorite decks. I love the book theme. I love the renaming of the suits. This is a really great deck. And so this was the very first one that I thought of when we are thinking about rainbow decks. Isn't this so good? This is just such a great deck. Anyway, so that is my choice for a deck with rainbow either on the box or in the cards. So yeah, that was all 15 prompts. I know, I got to show so many decks. It's so fun. And so anyway, I wanted to thank Angel for doing this VR. Again, it's a great way to get us all out there looking at our decks and sharing them with each other. I also had a really great time making this video. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you could like and subscribe to the channel. I am trying to grow my channel a little bit, and I'm trying to connect with you all a little bit more. And so subscribing is one way for us to stay connected. So yeah, thanks for stopping by.